Welcome back to SEEK Bytes, a podcast for engineers by engineers. Today's episode is a little less engineer focused and it's more engineering activities. Today we're talking about hackathons and we got three lovely guests. Let's just go around the room. From my left, what's your name and what do you do at SEEK?
Hello, Will. I'm Kat Vassallo. I'm the Technology Community Engagement and Innovation Manager based in Melbourne.
Amazing. And to the left of you?
I'm Andy Maxey. I'm the EVP and Community Impact Lead, work with comms in P&C, but have been involved in Hackathon for a few years.
I love it. And our final guest?
I'm Glenn Wilson. I'm a Senior BA here at SEEK, but I used to run hackathons for a little while.
I wondered what you did.
Oh, thank you.
That's good. Good to know.
Yeah, I think it's nice that there's so many different areas that people work at and are still involved at SEEK within hacks. That I feel like every department is kind of involved in a hack in some sort of way. I wanted to start with what hack is and what it is, like how it came to be here at SEEK. Glenn, maybe starting with you. I feel like you've been part of the hackathon team for the longest. How did it kind of start up here at SEEK? Also, maybe what is hackathon in case anyone doesn't know what that is?
Our hackathons here at SEEK are a 3-day event. The business has given the okay for people to take time off their day-to-day jobs and hack ideas and present them to our ELT on the third day.
How many hackathons have you been a part of?
On the committee, I've been involved since Hack 11 and we're up to Hack 23. Yeah. I project managed 11 to 22, I guess. But 22 was a handover.
And have you actually hacked within any of those hacks previously before that?
Yes, I did. I haven't been able to hack since while I was project managing, but yes, I was definitely hacking.
Yeah, and what about the two of you?
Yeah, I must have been hack 19, and our team actually won. We won for the APAC announcements email.
Oh.
Yeah, which was pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and similarly, I hacked my first hack, which was 11, I think, so it would have been your first one, and we won. It was building an app to, we were moving offices into this new office we are in now in Cremorne, and we hacked an app to help people move. Didn't get built, but we won, so that was what was important. Then from then I joined the committee from, I think, 13 onwards. So, and what we like to do with our hackathons, we give it a theme. So 13, we kind of was the space theme, so Apollo 13 kind of style. And we've done some crazy kind of themes to bring our hackathons alive. So we do it twice a year here at SEEK, 3 days, and they get bigger and bigger each time.
Yeah, do you think the theme is a big part of hackathons?
It is for us. I think it kind of gives it an identity. And when people are talking, so one of the things that we've done and is kind of the tradition from early days is create a T-shirt. Everybody gets a T-shirt who hacks. And it's kind of like a bit of a badge of honor. So if you walk around SEEK on any day, you'll see past hack T-shirts that people are wearing. And one of the things that I think is great about a hackathon, it's open to everybody at SEEK. So I work in P&C, and P&C get involved, marketing get involved, commercial get involved, and obviously all the tech and product people get involved as well. So it's a really good way of people just finding a bit more about the business, how the business works. I mean, one of the things that I found when I first hacked was understanding how our business actually worked. We're a technology business. We're a platform, and you get to work with tech people, which in P&C we don't often do.
Yeah, and I think encouraging collaboration with people who you'd never get a chance to work with to understand more about what their role is and, working on problems together, solving problems together is a really unique opportunity. And I think, Glenn said before that, all of the hacks are judged by the ELT. I think that leadership endorsement and actually making the space to do it, like 6 days out of every 12 months is not a small commitment. But it's something that the business is really, committed to continuing with and really supporting and endorsing. So without that, you can't really do things like this.
I mean, the thing that they say to us, like Simon, who's our group exec of product, he always says there's so many ideas and things that he wouldn't find or know about unless our people kind of presented it. And the passion that people bring, it's a real innovation driver, which then becomes an important part of what gets delivered. I think you can pretty much put your finger on anything that's been built at SEEK, and its origins was in a hack somewhere or other.
I think it's great that a lot of people have ideas and they ask, when's the next hackathon? Because they want to bring those ideas to life. And it's part of our culture. People look forward to hackathon to not just work with their colleagues, but work with people right across the business that they wouldn't normally get to work with. And that's one of the key drivers for people participating in Hackathon. They get to do something that's different to their day-to-day job, but they get to work on amazing ideas.
How did kind of hackathons start, and did it evolve to twice a year, or was it?
Tim Smart, who was our Chief Technical Services Officer at the time, he was the key driver to get hackathons up and running here at SEEK. And initially it was a 2-day event, very engineering focused. So it was basically just engineers, obviously a lot smaller than what it is now. Then after probably about the 4th or 5th hackathon, we moved it to a 3-day event. And the ideas that were being generated were just so good that the business wanted to see more and more of it. By the time we got to the 5th hackathon, it was already very, very popular and a core part of our EVP.
I think a key driver for that popularity is because it's so grassroots. Like it's got a lot of leadership support and endorsement, but all of the work, everything that gets put in, the way that it actually gets pulled together is a group of volunteers who are really passionate about making it as cool and fun and engaging as it can be. It's not a corporate initiative. It's not something that's being kind of driven from the top. It's really passionate people that are bringing it to life, which I think makes all the difference.
Yeah, we have quite a large committee, I would say now. Was it always like that? Or I would assume it started a lot smaller, but kind of how did it grow to where it is now?
Yeah, it was a bit smaller, but that's because now we are APAC wide. So we have committee members in KL and Hong Kong.
And Indonesia.
And Indonesia now. But originally it was Melbourne centric, which is where we are. And it was in office. So it was the days before COVID. We generally have a project manager that overlooks it all. We have a designer. They come up with the visuals, of course. Event coordinators. So we have a Shark Tank coordinator, Hack TV, Hack Expo, Kickoff. And then we have people that look after catering because we provide food and snacks, lots of sugar. That's key to a good hackathon, lots of sugar.
Yeah, that's a good part. The candy bar is legendary.
Yeah.
Theming committee.
Which,
has representation at all of our key sites.
Yep. It's a large committee. How big is it now, I
think we've got 39 people
across APAC.
Yeah.
Yep. 20, I think it's about 25 in Melbourne alone. People might not realise how much is involved.
The role of the host is a role that we have here as well. How did that come to be as well? I guess having a host for a hackathon, maybe it's not something you would expect to have, but...
The host is now a key part of it. I think one of the real pushes for having a host was when we went virtual. This was during COVID, and now we're hybrid. So we had Kyle Minol, who was involved in, I think, 3 hackathons, and he was key to sort of tying everything together. It was kind of a challenge to find someone who was willing to be a host, but when you did, it was good. But when you found a host that was just really resonated with the core principles of what Hackathon is and was passionate about what we were doing, we kind of kept asking them to come back. We've had 2 prominent hosts in the last 12 hackathons, and that would be Kyle and Andy Maxey would be the other one.
The role of host for our hackathons kind of embodies how Hackers changed and what we're trying to do with it. So during lockdown, the host kind of kept the stuff together. Because we have so many teams and so many things, it's like a military operation. On our last day, when you're doing Shark Tank, which is when all the teams present their ideas, they have 6 minutes to present their ideas, then they go through to a final in front of the ELT. The hosts have to just keep things moving along and add a bit of silliness, add a bit of fun, bring the theme to life. That's how I kind of see the role has been, and it's developed in that time. So I remember we came out of lockdown. My first host gig was the first one back in this new office, and then we went into lockdown again. So I remember the theme was the greatest hack on earth. Round about the time Hugh Jackman was singing Barnum songs, and so we ripped that off and we went into lockdown and we said, right, well, how can we bring this theme to life? We can't do it in the office like we were going to do, and we went over to Luna Park and Luna Park rented us their space. And we hosted the hackathon for 5 hours on the roof at Luna Park with all the rides going off behind us and stuff. I mean, there was nobody there. It was really weird to be at Luna Park when there was nobody there. But we brought that to life. So we hosted it for 5 hours. I think I had 5 costume changes in that time.
I remember the popcorn one you were in.
The popcorn. Yeah, I was dressed as a box of popcorn for the last bit. And the weightlifter didn't leave much to the imagination, but. We didn't get cancelled, and I was asked to come back. But so that's kind of how Hackers evolved. I think for the hosts, if you can be the silliest person in the room, it allows everybody else to free themselves up to get involved. And there's other things that we do, in the lead up, we try and make sure that all our people have as much information. So, communication's a really big part of it, which is part of the reason why myself and Kat's got a strong history in communication as well, which is all about, we do Hack TV, which is kind of like little episodes leading up to Hack to get people engaged, get people excited, give people a chance to ask the questions. And then into kick off on the first day, right through to the awards on the last day. All the way, like it's a really fun time to be at SEEK. So.
Yeah, and I think that's the core thing. It's, we work so hard all year. These 3 days, really, there's not really anything that's off the table during Hackathon. There's a real permission, a real opportunity to just have a lot of fun with it, be really silly, but also really innovate. So I think that balance, we seem to have kind of hit on this really secret sauce combination that I think it's really important that, I think we all feel a lot of responsibility to keep it going in that way, to really make sure we don't dilute it or change it, or, as we evolve it, how do we make sure we retain that really special spirit? Even 23 hacks on, I feel like we still have it, and we want to make sure that we retain it.
The ELT have given the Hackathon committee a lot of freedom. They don't set rules for us, and that freedom is key, I think, to making Hackathon an event for the seekers, for the people that work here.
I think there's a good point on the back of that is when we did the hackathon that was on Luna Park, we did the heats back to back, so they all followed each other. And it's because it's grown and grown and grown. We were running out of time. It ended up being a 5-hour Shark Tank, and it was huge. But the ELT, Kendra, who's our CFO, Ian, who's our CEO, they both sat and watched every single hack because they just love the creativity that comes out of it. They love the ideas that come out of it. So one of the things we've had to evolve and to try and get more teams involved is we've gone to heats. So now we have 3 heats, and the winners of that then go to the final, which is then judged by the ELT, and they love it.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of go, you've mentioned heats and Shark Tank and stuff, and if you've done a hackathon here at SEEK, you would know what they mean, but not everyone may. So I think it'd be good to maybe just go through the structure of the hackathons, how they kind of start. And you mentioned Hack TV as well. Could just kind of start and to end what the structure of a hackathon is at SEEK.
We are, at the moment, as we record this, we are 3 weeks out from our next hackathon. So Hack TV is the first event that we kind of run. It's really an opportunity for teams to promote their hack.
And Kat, what theme have we ripped off this time?
It is, can we say Star Wars?
We already have.
Yeah,
well, you're editing it.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, we've said it.
It is an intergalactic space opera theme.
Called The Hack Strikes Back. So
Yeah, called The Hack Strikes Back.
And you've had to watch it. You've never seen it, had you? So
I'm well across the Star Wars universe now. It starts on May the 5th.
May the 5th. So we're only one day off May the 4th.
Exactly.
So it was close enough for us to
Exactly
go,
right.
this is the time.
Exactly right. So, yeah, we're in the process of kind of recruiting teams at the moment. And I think what's a little bit different, as kind of Glenn said before, we're always trying to evolve what we do with hackathons. And this hack, we really want to dial up the innovation. So we've changed our awards. And we're really trying to focus on big, bold ideas. Obviously, in the age of AI and the way that everything is changing in terms of the way we bring our tech to life, we want to give our people as much rope and opportunity and reward as much creativity and bold thinking and big swings as we can. So that is the focus for this hack in terms of the awards we give out. So in terms of the process, so Hack TV is, we run 3 episodes of Hack TV. As I said, it's an opportunity for teams to get on an episode, talk about their hack, recruit team members. We also have people like James Ross, who's our CTO. Talkie is one of our key project sponsors. He always writes a song for Hackathon. So after Hack TV, it kicks off with our kickoff. So because we're hacking across APAC, we usually run that on the first day around lunchtime. It's really just an opportunity to say, let the games begin. But really the first 2 days are for the teams to really get together and hack on their ideas, whether that's virtually. There's lots of spaces to do stuff in person. We run lots of games, pinball and theming, and, we really try and bring the theme to life as much as we can. So having local committees means that we can really tailor that to the local experience and make sure that each of our offices is representing that in a way that makes sense for them, to the degree with that makes sense for them.
And the final day
Yes.
is kind of probably the biggest day,
Day.
particularly for the community, but even just for the hackers, because that's when they're presenting. What's kind of the structure of that final day of Hack?
So for the final day of Hack is when everything comes together. So, the teams have the opportunity to present what they've been working on for the last 2.5 days. So as Maxey said, we run 3 heats. They run in parallel. Last time we had 40 teams registered, 44 teams. I'm hoping we get the same number this time. I'm sure we will. But the 12, the top 4 for each of those heats go into the finals, and they get the opportunity to present to the ELT. And following that, we have an award ceremony where awards are handed out by the executive leadership team, and there's drinking and cheersing and celebration, and I think fun is the underlying, and lots of costumes, Chewbacca's, stormtroopers. And I think this is one of the opportunities that we're looking at for, in a hybrid environment. What does an equal experience look like? How do we make sure that everyone has access to the same kinds of events, even if it's not exactly the same in every location? And I mean, that's the biggest challenge with hybrid. All offices have different facilities, different numbers of staff, all of those things, but we want to make sure that the essence or the vibe is as consistent as it can be across all of our offices.
Yeah, I think we could talk about the last Hack 22 was Hackapalooza. We did a kind of a music theme. And I was in Kuala Lumpur hosting for Kuala Lumpur, so trying to make the experience come to life there. We had teams in Indonesia. All of our ELT were the judges. There were 2 were in Singapore, 2 were in Jakarta, the Philippines, Hong Kong, and it was that's the thing about SEEK. We're in 8 different countries, and so we try and bring it to life. Now, half of our people are based in Cremorne or in Melbourne. So that's kind of the hub, but then we're really conscious of trying to bring it to life for everyone else. From there, I mean, there's awards.
Yep.
So people, after the heats, then people go to the finals, and then there's 4 awards. So the ELT pick 4 teams. So the prizes that we offer, there's a small cash prize to have a team lunch, but then the main prize is you have an hour with an exec that is in that area of where your idea is, and that gives the ideas the best chance of getting up. And, they won't come up in different ways. They go into roadmaps and stuff like that, but it's a real important part of our hackathons is the ideas go somewhere.
Now it's probably a good time to chat on how things have changed and stuff. Things have definitely changed, and I think us going more, not just the Melbourne office, I think it's probably the biggest thing that's probably changed the most from what I remember.
After Hack 13, COVID hit. So for Hack 14, we had to work out how to do it in a virtual world. Before we had Slack, before we had Zoom. This is when Kyle was hosting. We presented on that 3rd day. We broadcast from Kyle's home. So he actually put a sheet behind him. And this was, I think the theme was...
It was Euro Hack because it was... We're trying to connect people in different locations via screens, coming Europe and all that sort of stuff. So that led to the Eurovision hack, so Hackavision.
Yeah. But what that meant is that we had to broadcast for about 5 hours. By broadcasting, what we mean is we showcase every single team's hack, and they get about 5 minutes to present. And then the judges would have a minute to ask questions, and then a minute changeover for the next team to come on. And so we did that for about 30, 40 teams.
Just logistically, it was so hard because you're trying to coordinate the people who are presenting with the judges who are watching, with the next team that's going to present and share a screen, with the host trying to work out who's next and what's going on, trying to get the right people in the right place. It was probably easier to do Eurovision.
Yeah.
We should have put on Eurovision.
Yeah, it was kind of chaotic. It was kind of like running like a TV show.
Yeah, like a live broadcast.
That was the first time. The next time when we weren't in full-on lockdown, and we actually hired a venue, which was a comedy/bar. This was in the middle of Melbourne, and it was really quiet because everything else was shut, but we were allowed to meet at the space, and we broadcast from there. That was Hack 15, and then obviously Hack 16 was the Luna Park.
Luna Park, yeah. And then 17. Well, 17 was our first one back.
That
First one
was
back in the
Jurassic
office proper.
Hack.
Jurassic was, yeah. So that was dinosaur themes, which was one, and that's one of the things how it worked. Because I remember we had the conversation. We were talking because the theme's always a big discussion. And Glenn said, "I'm not sure about this theme. You weren't over it at all."
I've been pretty bad at guessing what the right themes are. Andy was all for this. He said, let's do it. It'd be fun. And it's probably one of our most popular ones that we've done since we've been back.
That one was great. That was a really good one, yeah.
Because we were doing in the virtual model, we could actually include other countries. Everyone was on a level playing field. Come back into the office, and then now you have this model where you have to still include other countries, but you also want a physical presence. You also want to create an event where people will come back into the office. This was just post-COVID, where people were used to staying at home and maybe a bit anxious about coming into the office again. That was a real challenge.
But I think the other thing that was happening alongside hackathons and our evolution of hackathons was the evolution of SEEK. So we've got JobStreet and JobsDB in the other countries we've mentioned through APAC, and SEEK brought those together in that time as well. So we called it unification. We brought the platforms together. So actually the business was working closer together. So it was a case of, there isn't a case of SEEK's Melbourne and JobStreet is KL and JobsDB. That had gone, and we became one SEEK at that time. And I think Hackathon was probably the leader of that, because it showed during COVID and lockdown we could work together remotely. Geography mattered less. The ELT saw that we can get our people working together regardless of geography, because there were some great ideas. There was team collaborating across different locations, different time zones, and we made it work. And now, as a business, as we sit here today as SEEK, we are one business with 3,000 people in 8 different countries.
One thing I've definitely noticed that's been a bit of a struggle is like the People's Choice Awards during the Hack Expo. I mean, that is about the time when other teams can see what other teams have been hacking on. I mean, the hackathon is about these ideas, and it's not just about the ELT seeing them, but I think about other teams seeing these ideas as well. And typically the Hack Expo has mainly focused of just within the Cremorne office. I think just still limitations in other offices and spaces, and how do you share those ideas? But how are you kind of managing that, Kat? Kind of being new to running hackathons.
Yeah, I think some of the feedback we've had is it's really hard to balance, retaining that in-person, really special, fun experience with making people who are not in Melbourne feel as if they are part of it and they're included. They're not just viewing something that's happening in another office. Yeah, so I think the biggest challenge we're trying to overcome is making sure that there is that really genuine balance of hybrid, all of SEEK opportunities that are happening online, combined with really fun in-person office activations, as much as we can make it happen locally. And the committee is really fundamental in making that happen.
And just to add to that, we have to remember that people are now used to working from home. So they don't have to come in the office to hack. So we do have some teams that are purely hacking from home. These teams are proud of what they're doing, and some of the teams want to showcase that in this Hack Expo format. But then you also have people who maybe don't want to come into the office and do that. How do we get their ideas
incentivize
exposed?
it?
Yeah.
And I think that leads on to something else, where one of the things that we do with Hack is we don't tell people what to hack. So I've seen sort of other examples where people are given a problem and then they're hacking that problem. And we think of our customers. So for SEEK, our customers are hirers, they're job seekers, or they're our internal people. So if you can make a process or something easier internally, that's a hack that you can bring to the table. So we really don't stipulate these are the things that you need to do.
I guess the hackathon, it's not just about making ideas that can benefit the business. Sometimes it is within, the office space, or sometimes it is something that internally we will use. It's not always the winning team is one that is a new product or a new feature or something like that, right?
No, and I think this hack especially, we're really trying to, to the point of AI and thinking about how do we use the tools in different ways? How do we really kind of take big, bold bets on what we're doing, because the environment's changing so quickly. The awards are really changing to reward that kind of thinking. And even if it's not a product that we can ship immediately, even if it's something that kind of shifts the trajectory of the way we think about products or engineering or, a customer problem over the next 12 months, 24 months, that's still something that we want to optimize for. We still want to encourage that long-term thinking. SEEK has always been really focused on thinking for the long term and acting for the long term. So this really just kind of is just designed to reinforce that and reward innovation and just give space for people to do that.
And the last couple of hacks, this is another example of how it is really through the whole organisation, is we took a couple of the winning teams to our board. Our board are really interested. So we did a mini hack for the board, presented 2 winning ideas. They really enjoyed it. We kept it, we made it like a mini Shark Tank. And that time, and I think that's one of the things that's probably changing a lot this time is the awards, because there was 14 awards we gave out that one. 12 went on to roadmaps and went into development or were live, which was great. But then what we found was, the feedback that we got was it's kind of like people are using this to get things on roadmaps rather than taking the big swing. So we've cut it right back. This time there's 4 awards, and they're the big swing awards. They're what can we do? We've talked about hackathons as it's a part of our employee value proposition, our EVP. And so what's in it for our people joining in? Go out into the business. Hackathon is a great way to help help invest in your own career by learning what else is out there. What are the other teams? What skills can you use? And I mean, we do it. We know about jobs a little bit. In some places, a little bit, we know about jobs. And it's about the skills. And the skills aren't just, you don't sort of like stick in comms or stick in P&C. You don't have to. But what skills can you take from your job and apply it to other areas of the business? And a hackathon is great. If you're joining a team of 10 people, there's a couple of tech people in there. My tip for any hack team, when people ask me for tips, because I've been around a while, is get someone from sales and service in your team, because they're talking to our customers every single day and they know the problems to solve. And they go, if we could do this for our customers, and then you connect that with a person from tech who goes, well, actually, all that is this little tweak or this little product enhancement, and we can change that. And then everybody works together, and then it's amazing the power that you get from that. So from an EVP perspective for our people, it's a really good way to learn our business and invest in their own careers.
Yeah, we run a survey after every hackathon, and we get feedback from, obviously, the participants. The consistent feedback we always get, 2 main things, are the ideas that they get to hack on, but also it's being able to work with people they don't normally get to work with. They might have come across a role that they've never even thought about, and working with those people gives them a connection, a network opportunity.
And number 3 is obviously the host costumes. Can they please cover up?
I don't remember that, actually.
That's pretty consistent.
To round this out, I kind of just like to chat about just ideas other companies, big or small, can start. What are some tips that they can start doing to get hackathons running themselves, or if they've struggled to kind of get involvement with ELT or something in the past? I don't quite know how you even get this going somewhere in another company.
I mean, you probably can speak to the history, but I think, this is my second hack that I've been involved in at a committee level. I think for me, a lot of companies say that they want innovation. They want to see their people be more innovative and push the boundaries and do things, but very few actually invest in giving people the space to do that. I think innovation on top of your day job is a really hard thing to do. So, pulling out 3 days out of BAU is a really big commitment, I think, for a lot of businesses to make. But I think what SEEK has demonstrated over the last 23 hacks is the fundamental benefits you can realize by doing it, and how the innovation practices that you can develop during a hackathon begin to feed into the way you do BAU anyway. So it is a compounding benefit that I think making the space and actually giving people the time is probably the most important thing. And if you don't have endorsement for that, it becomes really hard.
Yeah, I think my advice, I think, it builds on that a little bit is, we're talking about hack, and we've been doing it for 15 years or something like that, and it's big. And to get to where we are today, there's been a lot of proof, a lot of reiteration, a lot of working things through. You don't need a hack to be as big as ours. So you can do it. You can do a half day. Start with a half day. I mean, there's a lot of things. Just do it and try it. You'll be surprised at the first thing is just allowing your people to have a bit of space.
Absolutely.
And, and I'd say start with a half day. And you'll be surprised at then what comes out of that, and then that gives you the ideas for the next one. Which then, how do you implement that and take those ideas? There's so many. The people then have the ideas and then bought into that, rather than you telling people what they need to do. They kind of do it for you. So my one is have a go.
I would also probably suggest, if you want to start one off, maybe start with the department first and just prove it that way. So if you start with a small department, have a day of hacking, showcase what you can get out of that, and then get leadership buy-in. That is key to growing a hackathon.
How does one kind of go about doing that?
We invite externals in to see our hack. So if you want to bring somebody in, reach out to someone at SEEK and we'll be able to come in and see how we do it, because showing people what comes through, and we open up on the last day and we'll give you a tour and show you the teams, and you can look at the ideas. So yeah, reach out, and when you show people what comes of it, it's really infectious. Coming to one of our hacks is really infectious. I'll give that as a tip. The other thing I'd say is make sure you get great hosts. That's the other thing. So Will and I are available at a very reasonable day rate. We provide our own costumes.
Yep.
But I think, to your point on the leadership, how do you get leadership buy-in? It is exactly what Glenn said. You prove the concept out. Like, if you do it on a small scale, you show the benefits, whether you have a specific customer problem or a specific organizational problem that you want to solve, see how you go. Set the parameters quite small to begin with. See, what do your people do with that information? How do your people use it? How do they push the boundaries? Prove that out. Show leaders what's possible, and grow from there. If growth is even on your agenda, just maybe keeping it small is the right way to do it. And I think for the committee, as a committee, we're constantly hacking how we do hackathon. How do we bring hackathon to life? Like Glenn mentioned before, the drop-in sessions, we had to run these things and we'd record these long videos and edit them live and broadcast them. We moved away from that. We started doing hack talks, and, we wondered whether that was still something we wanted to do. And, now we're kind of playing with, what does the expo look like? So it is something that you constantly have to check in with, see what's working, see what you might need to shift to make sure that the experience is as engaging as it can be for the people who are putting their ideas up and spending their time hacking.
And same for the committee, because we're the biggest hack team that there is.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a total hack. We're doing a lot of things on the fly.
Yeah.
Things are not perfect.
Yep.
Things don't always work.
I spray painted records from the op shop last year for our awards.
True. I built a big spinning wheel with a jigsaw. I mean, and I'm not. It didn't spin. It did in the end. By the day 3, it did. But it was. We hacked Hackathon.
Yeah.
So I think then when you see the teams coming up with these great ideas, it's such a joy to see. Because the last hackathon I was in Kuala Lumpur hosting from over there, and that was kind of the thing that I was trying to teach over there was, it's this crazy back. They think it's all well put together and everything's managed and it looks great, but I'm saying, no, it's not like this. It's chaos. Don't panic. It's fine. This is all part of the hack spirit.
And giving teams permission for it to be a bit fly by the seat of your pants. Like, it should be, the way we bring it to life, it is a bit rough around the edges. It is a little bit chaotic, a lot chaotic, and a bit crazy and all of those things. But I think that is kind of part of the magic, because it's not a polished, perfect corporate event. It is something that we all build as we go, which is it's special.
I've definitely been informed of new things about Hack, and even just being part of the committee, there's knowing some of the history and stuff. And I think this has been a really exciting episode. Thank you for coming along.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Will.